and welcome to Sanger and Eby's Short Take, ensuring prospective students find the information they need. My name is Katie Krafka, and I am the Director of Client Engagement. I've been with the company over 3 years, and I help our new and existing clients brainstorm solutions to their challenges and bring together the right Sanger and Eby team members needed to solve it. Krista?
Yeah, hi, I'm Krista Bowner. I've been with Sanger and Eby for 7 years now, and I'm a senior experience designer there. I work in both print and digital design with a focus in user experience planning, and have helped lead the design front on a lot of our clients' multimedia recruitment campaigns and website redesigns.
Great. So again, we're with Sanger and Eby, a design and development agency. We're excited to be here today to talk about the ever important prospective student's journey. So one thing to note before we start, we'll be touching on the website experience of this prospective student journey. But there are many different touch points that can and should be intertwined in this journey, like emails and direct mail. But today we'll be focusing specifically on the website aspect of the journey and those students applying to your school. So, all right, our goal today is to show you how and why you must build out a detailed big picture journey map of your prospective student's applicant cycle. We'll show you ways to use your existing analytics and marketing research to help understand the hurdles and challenges within your journey and make strategic decisions to enhance that experience. After building out this big picture map, we'll be able to narrow in and analyze each phase of the student recruitment cycle. We'll talk through each of the phases and the journey and discuss hurdles and ways to make improvements. Now, to do this right, you're going to need up-to-date data on your prospective students, along with real feedback from current students who have recently gone through the application and acceptance process. We totally understand that budgets and timing can be a hurdle for you, but even on a small scale, a little insight is better than none. And as we go, we'll highlight some easy ways of collecting this information. So with that, take it away, Krista.
Yeah, thank you. So again, this big picture plan that we're talking about, it is actually a tangible industry tool that we like to call a journey map. So this is just the documentation of each touch point that a prospective student would most likely have with your school during their search and apply process. This map helps us to plot out each key stage of the student's journey and to identify key information that they're seeking and the emotions and questions that they're experiencing along each stage. So featured on this slide is a simplified look at a sample journey map from a prospective student standpoint. You can see here that we've broken out each key phase of their journey of searching for the right college for them. Also noted alongside this are the key actions that students would be taking during each phase. So to break it down, this includes starting out with our awareness and discovery phase when they're first just trying to search for schools online. As they start finding schools, they're going to look through your homepage and your website in general. As they move into the consideration and research phase, they're going to be narrowing in on things like your school's program options, admissions, and financial aid information. Hopefully, they continue to move forward into the visit and apply phase next, where then they're really interacting more with your site to fill out forms, request more information, maybe scheduling a tour. They're going to be combing through sections of your site like student life and trying to figure out if the culture is a good fit for them. And then the next huge step is getting them to apply online and submit that application. So evaluating what their experience is like at that stage is very important. And then to really bring it home during the decision and commitment phase, once they've been accepted, here they're really looking for guidance on next steps and needing answers to big questions about first payments, how to prep for orientation, and so on. So identifying each of these key actions is really important because you want to make sure that you're serving up for them the most relevant information at each stage and guiding them to the next proper steps as they progress through this cycle. So in addition to identifying each of those key actions along the stage, it's equally important, if not more so, to figure out the students' thoughts, feelings, their questions and pain points that they're encountering along each stage as well. So user research is going to be a big way to help you uncover this stuff. Conducting things like student surveys, focus groups, and website user testing are all great ways to collect this data. And this doesn't have to be a huge, expensive research project. Industry standards have found for us that even just having between 5 to 8 participants is really all you need for accurately collecting this kind of feedback. Any more than that, and most of your feedback is going to just start repeating itself. So even if you can just grab that 5 to 8 students is that sweet spot number, to have participants, and that'll help you gain a pretty well-rounded sampling of results. And really taking the time to figure this out and conduct this research, it's going to help you build a stronger emotional connection with your prospective students. If your marketing and recruitment strategies can be more targeted towards addressing these student concerns and alleviating their pain points through the process, you're going to be building their trust. You're going to be guiding them towards a successful application experience and ultimately setting the stage for long-term loyalty with your school. So once you have a solid journey map like this in place, backed by this research and data, you'll now have a really valuable tool that can help you make enhancements to your outreach and your overall recruitment strategies.
Great information. So you have your prospective student journey to apply to your school all mapped out. But let's back up a little bit and talk about, why do you actually need this process mapped out at all? There are a few ways your journey map can aid and guide you and your team after it's developed. First, by building out this journey, it forces you to look at your big picture experience, and it clearly uncovers areas where your current application cycle might be lacking and potentially losing applicants. And you can get started solving those issues right away. You can use this map as a tool or a sounding board when thinking about challenges to your website. So next time you want to reorganize part of the homepage, you can ask, will this change impact the prospective student journey in any way, in a negative way potentially? And you and your team can go through that journey map, identify where that change takes place, and see if it does hurt that process or maybe helps it. It'll really help your team stay focused and make more strategic decisions when making updates to your website. Using this map as a reference point will help you and your team to put on that prospective student lens when you're working on other projects and initiatives. It can also be a helpful tool when you're talking to internal departments and colleagues, and maybe even getting a little buy-in from them. I mean, we can always dream. Overall, a built-out map of your prospective student's journey to apply to your school will help you identify breakdowns in the cycle quicker and give you a tool to keep your team focused and conscious of what's really important to that prospective student. So how do we get started, Krista?
Yeah, so let's dig right in how you could start building your own journey map. The first key step here is to build out your key audience types based on your user research data. So try to identify which key groups of prospective students that you want to target the most, and then try to frame their patterns of behavior, their mental models, and identify observed pain points and goals for each of those groups. Really dig into what the needs are for each of these groups. It's crucial to have those insights and the data compiled to use as a guide for mapping out these students' journeys. Even if your budget is small, as we've mentioned, there are low to no cost ways that you can gain this needed information by just conducting some small scale tests and surveys. Then, once you've got that information in place, you can start to analyze the current path of the actual online journey each of those audiences would take through your website, documenting each step that they take from beginning to end. So, for instance, starting with their search for schools in the area, try finding your school site through organic Google search, reviewing the homepage, try navigating to relevant sections of the site like admissions, program, pages, etc. And really try to evaluate how easy or difficult it is to intuitively find this information on your school site through the lens of each of these prospective student groups. So this is a great time to also conduct a competitive analysis of other schools' website experiences and their recruitment messaging to see how your site stacks up. All of this, again, helps you to put on that student lens to understand the searching process that they expect to take and how they would plan to move through your website during their discovery phase. So next, now with this approach, you can really evaluate which specific touch points along this journey might need some attention or improvements. Once those areas are identified, you can start implementing enhancements around each touch point to make sure that you're providing your prospects with what they need at that spot. So for example, you might identify the need to provide some more targeted content at each key touch point. Starting with your homepage, the messaging, its supporting content and layout should all be tailored to grab the prospective student's attention and establish that emotional connection, helping them to visualize themselves at your school. Then how are you guiding them from the homepage to the next important step of exploring programs and admissions information? As students continue their journey, they want to request more information and really begin digging into your site. So be sure to provide helpful content and call outs to more relevant information, making sure that every web page that they touch provides a guiding hand to the answers to all of their questions. In this way, your messaging should evolve through these pages as they dig in further. So here on this slide is an example of a more detailed journey map. This particular one focuses heavily on the website experience, but as Katie mentioned earlier, these can really include other touch points like direct mail, email outreach, etc., all aspects of your recruitment strategy. But you can see on this sample, we still break out that the high level stages along the top here, but we get a little bit more specific with how it branches out into the student applicant cycle. We're marking the areas in the journey that some are both linear and some are more cyclical or ongoing, really digging into the key activities and pathways that might be taken within the website, and then honing in on the questions and feelings identified along each phase. At the bottom here, we left space for noting big takeaways and opportunities for improvements within the existing journey. So again, your team's journey map, it can be as simple or as detailed and customized as you need it to be.
Good stuff, Krista. So next, we want to talk a little bit about some common hurdles that we see at each stage of this journey. So let's start at the beginning with that awareness and discovery phase. And we all know how important this phase is. And during this phase, students are just starting their college search. They're excited, they might be a little overwhelmed, and they're probably looking at a lot of different options in schools. At the beginning, you need to ask, how are your students getting to your site? You first have to make sure you get them to your website and to your homepage before you can start actively communicating with them. Because ultimately, that's the biggest goal of this phase, is to grab their attention and stand out. Your homepage is that first impression to showcase your school and its unique culture. You must be doing this both in your copy and especially visually now too. This is where you have to clearly communicate information about your school, and it needs to appeal to the right potential students who would be a good fit at your school, and build that emotional connection by featuring authentic photography, helpful videos throughout the site, and really help them see themselves at that school.
Yeah, and a little tip here, if you haven't yet, we really encourage our clients to create a solid strategy plan around how you want visitors to use the site and successfully access the info that they need. I know a common problem that we see schools struggle with a lot is maintaining this strategy for their homepage content. Internal departments often want their hand in what goes on the homepage, but when not managed well, this can lead to a bit of a scrambled page that's lacking direction. Homepages should really cater to your prospective students, not your internal departments. We found a happy middle ground is to try to set some clear boundaries with your team around how and where to intentionally feature their department-specific content, but in a way that feels organized and purposeful. But again, always save your prime real estate at the top of the homepage for your core recruitment messaging and objectives. That's what should really shine through as the hero of your homepage.
Great. I kind of want to go back to that question of how are students actually finding your site, and are you making it easy for them? So when is the last time you actually searched or Googled your school? And what did those search results look like? The goal is to really show up like Mount St. Joseph University on this slide. They're at the top, they're the top results shown, and their description includes links that are helpful and informative. When your school shows up, what sites are visible? Are they ones that you'd like to have displayed there? The good news is this is something that you're able to control, and you can choose to display key pages and calls to action like the program listings, admissions pages, contact, and apply. And serving up those relevant links here can increase click-through rates and easily guide users to the important information you want them to find. These first impressions are so important, and you want potential students and really any visitor to your site to automatically be presented with the most relevant and accurate information about your school. And that now brings us to the Google Knowledge Panel. So have you claimed your Google Knowledge Panel yet? Do you know what it is? Google automatically generates this panel you see on the right side of the search results by pulling information from your website. It can often show outdated information based on where it's pulling from, but you can control what's displayed if you claim it. You need to treat this knowledge panel like a first impression. You want to make sure that it's displaying the right kind of content, and the goal is to start building that trust and confidence right away. Claiming your account is easy. Simply Google your school, scroll down to the bottom of the knowledge panel that shows up, and click Claim this knowledge panel. You'll be prompted to create a login, and you'll walk through steps to verify you actually represent your school. Once approved, you can control what's shown on that panel. And as you can see on the slide, there's a lot of important information included that you want to make sure is current and correct. Another important reason to claim this panel is to maintain your school's branding. And it also helps with search engine optimization, which again, helps you show up in those search results.
Absolutely. Really important information to get them to your site and get that first impression going. So once students have discovered your site and you've grabbed their attention, now they're moving into the next phases of consideration, evaluation, and visiting. At this point, prospects are fully immersed in your web content. Some of the common hurdles that we see at this stage can be addressed with tips on some best practices for web content and layout. So for instance, forms. Are your analytics showing that people are getting to your form pages, but maybe not filling them out? Forms is one area where you can really evaluate, make sure that you're being as succinct as possible. Having a large list of input fields on a single screen or page is intimidating and can often turn your users away. Also, in general, just try to keep all content on each web page concise and easy to scan through. So break up your information into scannable sections by utilizing visual breaks, callouts, and links across the page to direct users to other important content. And you really never want a page to be a dead end for users. So always try to provide links to other relevant information on your site. You can do this with bold buttons, hyperlinked text within your paragraphs, and other eye-catching callouts to help keep your web pages really visually interesting. The goal here is to really provide your users with multiple opportunities to find more of the content that they need in different areas of each page. Also, say if your web analytics are showing that people aren't getting to important pages from your homepage, let's talk a little bit about how you could help drive prospective students to the most valuable information. You could start by evaluating your site's analytics and identify what the bounce rates are looking like on each page. This would tell you when and where users are leaving the site. Then check out the stats on which pages are getting the most views. Where are those users coming from and what pages of your site led them to these highly viewed pages. So then for an important page that maybe isn't getting enough traffic, you could try adding callouts to that page from either the homepage or those other more trafficked pages. And then evaluate where these less visited pages sit within your main navigation. It could be that these pages are being buried a little too deep within your menu. Check out how many clicks it takes to get to those pages. Also make sure that they're being titled properly and that you're utilizing SEO keywords within your body copy of each web page to help them pop up more within your searches. All of these techniques can help guide the user to the right areas of your site. Some other helpful analytics information you could look at would include, how much traffic is coming from mobile, what social media channels are users coming through. All of this data can really help you tailor your site to accommodate all of these user behaviors. So to dive a little bit deeper into what might be keeping prospective students from getting to the information that they need, after you've looked at your analytics, also make sure to evaluate your site's information architecture, making sure that your web content is well organized. So an example of this is to remember, to name and organize the main sections and subpages of your site in a way that caters more to your prospective students than to your internal team. We always suggest to avoid using internal jargon and abbreviations that outsiders might not recognize as easily. And organize your menus in a way that reflects your student's journey more so than your internal structure. Really dig into your main navigation menu. If it's overloaded with too many items and really long drop-down menus, it could be helpful to consider which sections and pages your prospective students would be looking for first, and then clean up your menus to reflect this. User testing is a helpful method for evaluating this. With 5 to 8 people from your key demographic, you can test and observe if they encounter struggles with locating important information via the main menu. These user test results often open our eyes to a number of issues that weren't even on our radar, but can now solve for with the feedback that you receive. Another helpful method for cleaning up your site structure includes running content audits every so often to ensure that you're keeping your navigation and your web content all clean and up to date, continually updating and deleting old pages as needed.
Great. All right, so the application phase now, they have decided to apply. So tell me, is your application process intuitive to navigate and complete? Because students are going to be feeling both nervous and excited at this stage, and giving clear and direct instructions like Krista was talking about will definitely be helpful. This is such an in-between stage for them. They've made the leap and applied, and now they're waiting. So don't let the communication stop there. What information is going to be helpful for them to know at this stage? After they apply, you know they're going to be wondering things like, am I able to check my application status? When should I expect to hear back? And is there anything else I really need to do to keep moving the process forward? This is a crucial time, and outreach should not stop. And it really needs to be engaging and exciting too. Okay, we've made it through the application phase. They've been accepted and they're ready to make that final commitment. They're eager and anxious about next steps, and they're wondering about a lot of different things: orientation, classes, campus activities. And this is the time you get to get into the really fun, good stuff. Multiple communication touch points will help answer these questions, get them prepped, get them ready to be successful at your school. And, we've heard some really crazy stories about people getting accepted into colleges and then radio silence, no information. And they're really starting to question, what am I really supposed to do? I did get accepted, right? So we don't want them to start feeling that way, like they missed something. So really do not let your communication drop off here and leave those students hanging. So to wrap it up, your site should always be growing and adapting to your users' needs, and thus your journey map will be evolving along with it. It's important to regularly plan on reevaluating and adjusting elements of your site for continual enhancements to that journey and experience. Consider working through questions like, do you have a review process? And how often do you reevaluate your website? How should your team measure success? And what metrics are hard for you to impact? Keep trying new tactics and be sure to monitor their effectiveness and pivot when something isn't working the way you planned. Treating your journey map as a working, evolving document and keeping it up to date will be a useful tool in making sure you're reaching the right students for your school and hitting your admissions and recruitment goals. And with that, we want to thank you so much for attending Sanger and Eby's Short Take. We've provided 2 different handouts, including the PowerPoint presentation we went through today and a blank journey map for you to get started. Please visit the NCMPR resource page. The URL is on the slide. This resource includes topics like shooting your own authentic photography, website accessibility, facts and myths, and so much more. We really hope you find something of value. And of course, we are Sanger and Eby if you're looking for a partner in anything from website strategy and development and redesign to messaging, marketing, recruitment campaigns. I'd love to have a conversation. Again, thanks for attending.